Welcome back. We're nearing the end of day one here of QuakeCon for the QPL World Championship. Yeah, that's right. I'm casting with the hyenas again today, like chuckling away. 40 and ZSX, welcome back. It is now time to move into a game that I've definitely been excited for ever since I saw the prospect for it. Maxter versus Base. Base has already had... That's right. Get your cacaws out, boys. Let's go. But we saw Base take on Chain earlier today. Really impressive matchup, and I think this one's going to be exciting. So, gentlemen, let's talk a little bit about it. Let's start with Maxter. ZSX, since you seem so excited, give us your heartiest caw, and then tell us what you think about Maxter in this match.
Been waiting for this all day, especially if there's a camera on show, then it's going to be a good one. He's just setting the water light all QPL long. He's my favorite player to watch, and he's the last person in the league to take a map off Rafa. Oh no, Zeneca, damn, got that one wrong. But he was one of two people to take a map off Rafa in the last year, which is kudos to himself. But no, I think he's come on genuinely a long way, even still, to a point where he plays a lot more cultured and has a defensive playstyle as much as an aggressive playstyle. So this could be a really good event for him.
Yeah, I totally agree. I mean, the man plays with swagger. He can get in your face. He hits crazy rails, as Dan and I and the rest of the Quake world have seen. And it's a matter of him popping off and playing comfortable. If you can kind of throw him off his game, it is a little bit harder for him, I feel. But if he dictates the pace and kind of gets up in your face and gets a little bit flashier with his plays, he just feeds himself. And it's just this steamroll that you have to deal with, this bulldozer. As we take a look at the record right now, pretty good, all things considered. Not too shabby, Wheat. What do you think?
I mean, first and foremost, yes, the record is great, but Maxter clearly has one of the best arm cross pose photos that we have seen all season long. I also just love that Maxter is one of these players. I'm an emotional player. I don't hide it. I wear my heart on my sleeve. Maxter will show emotion, but boy, is he stone cold when it comes to the games that he's playing. And I see this comment consistently wow, Maxter's got this amazing posture. He's so composed during his matches. And I have to believe that is a one ingredient of his secret to the success. But I've been really excited seeing Maxter's progress as a player, some of the incredible matches that he's had, and he had a great performance during stage 2 finals, so I'd love to see him pick it up and have a equally great performance here in stage 3 finals. But I also think that his opponent here is a tough one and looking pretty good, and that of course being Base.
Yeah, and we saw Base before, and he was looking on really good form. Taking the aggression to Chain this time. Did drop a map against Chain, but that was more towards Chain's great play than anything untoward for Base. It is obviously, again, a matchup where we have a bit of a ping differential. I'm not sure about the actual, total magnitude of Argentina to Russia, but I'm sure it's quite a way. So that's going to be something we have to watch out for a little bit in a best of 3. However, Base is showing us all season long, as we and I discussed earlier, a newer side to him, somebody that can take the fight and take the front foot as much as being more the reactor. And because of that, he is much more of a threat. However, we also know Maxter is the one that wants to take the initiative, so I don't see that side of Base coming to the fore here as much as we might expect.
Yeah, I'm definitely interested to see if it's going to be kind of brute forcing for the first couple minutes while people both Maxter and Base try and get, I guess, the lead, whatever that may mean, 1 frag, 2, 3, but it's definitely going to be interesting to see if we see that side of Base. I mean, can you imagine a world where Base aggresses on Maxter, takes the lead, and then can just fall back into that defensive style, right, and then just kind of let Maxter punch himself out? That may be what we see, but the new dimension to Base, as you mentioned, is great to see, and it's very stifling for most of these players as it catches them off guard, because you're usually used to Base setting up, just this fortress that is impenetrable, right, and the next thing you know, you're slapped in the face, you're down 3 frags. How did that just happen to me? So it's really good to see, and I think this set between Maxter and Base is going to be fantastic.
And, you know, something that should be noted is one thing I was really impressed with Maxter over the course of the season 2 finals was, you know, it really didn't matter what server he was playing on, right? What the ping discrepancy was. He obviously put in that work. He practiced. He's in a position where sometimes he's often at a ping disadvantage, and he has learned to adapt and adjust to that, which makes him a pretty deadly opponent, you know, in an online situation. So very much looking forward to this one. Of course, before we can hop in, we need to find out what will we be playing on and what champions will these players be wielding or driving. Let's take a look at that right now as we're going to kick things off with Ruins and then move on to Exile and finally Veil.
Dan, what do you think about this? For me specifically, I'm looking at Exile like Anarchy versus DK. I don't know if that's going to be brutal or not for base, to be honest. Again, the Flame Strike for me is huge. The ability to use it at some of the spots on Exile may not be as great as other maps, but I just feel like DK is pretty strong on any map, honestly.
Yeah, that was the one I was looking at as well. I mean, if we run through it, we have Ruins. We've seen Ranger versus Galena a few times already today in this exact matchup on this exact map. Both times CNZ represented and won on the Ranger. The aggression you can bring out on the Ranger is really strong, but I think base's Galena is actually a slight step up from what we've seen today already, so that's a bit more even. But I'm interested by that one too. I actually am slightly leaning towards the Anarchy if base's rail is connecting, just because you can open up the map a lot more with that and play the keep away game. But we also know the power of Maxter's rail. I
was going to say, you're betting against Maxter's rail right now?
Yeah.
Can I lock that in?
I'm not betting yet. I'm just stating the facts. And then Ruins, we got, well, Base gets his pick there. He would want to play the BJ on that map. And I like Ison as well. We know how strong that is in Veil when you set up the top. But all in all, again, it's more playstyle picks. Base loves Anarchy, Base loves Galena, and Base loves BJ. And I think Maxter didn't pick any heavies here, which is a little bit interesting, but the scale was banned out. So it's still more about the speed and aggression with the Ranger and the Ison, and you can still play that style with the Death Knight. So they both got picks they're happy with. And in context, I'm still leaning towards Maxter.
I think that's fair. I'm just taking a quick look at the predictions right here. I think chat follows along 65% and kind of fluctuating. Maxter it just dropped to 47. Okay, great. So they're still settling. They're coming up with their own scheme over there in chat. But I think this is going to be close. I think hopefully all three. I mean, again, selfish Quake spectator, right? We want to see all three, but
exactly.
I feel like if Maxter gets going, it's just going to be hard for base to overcome that, because Maxter, when he's hitting those 10, 11 rails in a row, shut it down, because it's just the Magic Man's time. So we'll see. We'll see.
I hope we get to see that version of Maxter. Of course, base was certainly on fire this morning, so we'll see how these two will match up and play out. I'm going to take the sidelines here, 40 lines in ZSX. I expect that you'll behave yourselves while I am gone. Otherwise,
nope.
Well, you know what happens, so we'll see you on the other side.
Yeah, I'm just hoping that Dan sticks around the entire time this time. We'll see. That was best transition in all of Quake Pro League history. Dan, I think this is going to be our last one for the day. Let's make it special. Maxter versus base. Again, high flying action out of Maxter's corner is what I expect. I don't know if maybe he has a little something up his sleeve. Maybe he can go defensive, out defense base. That would be something crazy to see. But overall, I mean, would you lean towards Maxter base 2-1 going all three? What do you think?
I never really like to bet against base on a clean sweep, so I'm going to say still 2-1 to Maxter. What is going to be really interesting is whether Maxter can begin to string together those rails, because base, as we know, is synonymous with strong positional play, and that's how he, that's the foundations of his success. And so it's very hard to get that consistent output of damage, particularly long-range damage against base. Yes, you can hit the occasional shot, but consecutive shots and really reinforce that damage and that aggressive play, he might find it difficult. And if he's never practiced against base, given the locations where they're at, I don't know if they have, they've both got new play styles for each other, so there'll be a lot of feeling each other out and working out the strategy and the positioning of the traps. So it might be slightly more cagey.
Completely agree, and we're going to go live here on Ruins map number 1 between these two, Maxter versus base, and we'll see exactly how this one plays out. It all starts with this one, Dan, and we're going to start off on Maxter. He's got that Ranger, got that outside courtyard armor spawn into LG. Could play defensive on this rail after this heavy pickup as well.
Yep, and already slightly slow from maxter as he's trying to use the audio cues to work out where base is, and base is just walking around and delaying the mega health. So already taking the initiative with that. However, maxter obviously did catch him out and works his way around to pick up all the weaponry he needs. Base, on the other hand, drops down to low ground, gets him the weapons he needs, and Max is already setting up earlier rails here.
Rails exchange from the players. Not too shabby as maxter decides, all right, just feeling it out, like you said. Grabbing the heavy, but the split between the items. This is doable if maxter wants to get a little crazy. Positioning from base, strong as always. So maxter doesn't want to rocket jump up, doesn't want to use the dire orb to go for it. Instead, going around Tribolt and doing a good job of making sure that, you know, he's checking every corner and gets one of the totems early.
Yeah, you saw base go that way before, so I had a hunch that something might have happened. And he is Ranger, so he's the one that can push the advantage here for the Mega. He also knows the timing of it, so wants to go when it's safer. He might realize base is waiting down here because no one's being shown. Base double back up. Good lightning gun, but the repositioning with the orb is strong. However, base has done huge amounts of damage, and will get away with both items because of that.
Yeah, big play from base there. As maxter still railable, needs to be very, very careful as you see him slowing down the play. A little bit of damage on that rocket. Decent read there as he's able to stack back up and hopefully pick up this courtyard armor, but base slowly taking control early on. Almost 2 minutes in, 0-0. Nothing too crazy out of both these players.
No, the key for maxter here is try and do some exit damage and try and stop the advance into the room. That's why he's cutting off this angle. Good initiation rail. Wants to swap the weapon now, he does. Burst damage with the orb is there, but it's not enough as base is stacked to the teeth. Picks up that initial first frag.
Yeah, nice play there from base. Here's LG on LG, and look at that, just melting base. Wow. maxter hits like a truck, huh? Like the Magic Man delivering a little something. He's going to grab the heavy. Base needs to be careful just firing one rocket, seeing if he can maybe get some damage on that one, but nothing doing as maxter trying to make his way over. Rail fired, a little bit of tickle from base as he wants that mega, so maxter will have Dire War back. One totem down for base as he's going to set up another one here shortly near the TP, as we saw before.
Yeah, and you can see base is just playing a slow game, and Max is respecting that at this point in time. And this is what we talk about. He's not able to get any of these initiation rails as he would against other players. Base makes it very hard, shutting down the angles, constantly aware of where maxter might be. Because of that, Max is forced into this slightly more reserved playstyle, which he can play, but obviously isn't the preference.
Definitely not his favorite, and it's just a matter of breaking through, I think, this initial frag, and if it's clean enough, then we might see maxter put the pedal to the metal here. But base, he's just so good at creating this defensive play that you can't break through here. As one rail, there's the Dire Orb in. Good distraction there, but he actually takes it at the last second, too. 29 HP, and he lights him up going up the jump pad. Base completely caught off guard. maxter on the board ties it at 1.
Lovely. He also left the heavy behind, so has to go back to get it, but it means he took no damage onto the heavy. Should be able to pick up this mega as well. Base isn't going to show.
Wow.
And on top of that,
the worst time.
Yeah, he did. And on top of that, he's found him out. He's got 1 HP. Has to drop the totem. Max has also done a good job of clearing house of totems. So base is nowhere near that overstack at this point. But look at him, he just wants to set up. He goes major item to major item. Doesn't want to give any latitude for Max to do damage in between them. It's a very simple play style, but as you say, if he can break through time and time again, that's what he needs to do.
Clearing out totems as he goes as well, doing a great job eating a rail though, 51 HP, still within rail range. Base knows, and there's the LG follow-up here as he takes him down. Base takes the lead by 1, dropping down, denying the rail, making sure that the spawn is not free if maxter shows his face here. maxter actually up in the T-con right now. Base still waiting, trying to keep that rail out of his possession as long as he can.
And the smallest mistake is quickly punished by the Russian. Really nice play, and he's quite content with his strategy at this point. I'm sure he would be content to win 2-1. And as you see, drops down, walks around, walks down to the heavy. Incredibly simple, but ultimately effective playstyle.
A lot of damage coming out with that LG, and maxter trying to close the gap, but again, the stack is just too strong from base.
Getting close to the overstack as well. Got 2 up now. maxter might need to have a look down there. And base delaying the mega once again. Trying to offset any momentum any confidence maxter has. He's just not giving an angle up, Bordy. It's frustrating for maxter. You can see him trying to force the issue. Yeah, base is ready.
Ooh, that rail almost 84 HP. Base is railable. He jets down to the heavy. Waits on the timing, make sure it's not a trap. He is able to pick it up, and he will have overstack shortly, and there it is, placing down the third totem. Got the little fortress set up, not as tight-knit as he'd like here, but big LG right up in his face here. Able to steal away the Mega and rails it down, but he's still railable off the spawn after all of that. Maxter's done a good job of melting the stack. Still trailing by 3, but Base really showing off his just prowess on this map, especially with the Galena, as we said. One of the probably best Galena players, I'd say. Just it plays into that defensive style so well.
Absolutely. Very much up there, and as you say, now he's got the overstack up as well. He's feeling more and more confident. It's going to be rare in 3 seconds, but good retaliation by Nax, the 3 in a row. And there's the first time Base seemingly in a position where he technically didn't overcommit, but somehow maxter connects, and he's caught him again. He's flicked him up. Can't convert it though.
Good rail there. Is he going to try and finish with the Dire Orb? No, he's going to take it down to the heavy instead. Needs to clear out that totem. Does he see it? Okay, he goes back and he clears that out. And yeah, that was one of the first times we saw Base say, you know what, that was a great rail. I'm really happy for him. Down 2 though. Maxter still has more work. Has LG on LG. Is it just enough? Oh, both players extremely weak. Maxter almost takes himself out, and Base threads the needle with a rail of his own.
And Maxter's encountering something he's not used to. An inability to hit his opponent and consistent trades. Base is going blow for blow much of the time, and that is leaving Maxter in a position where he cannot push in to finish the frag.
Very rare indeed. Base has the 3 frag lead, 3 minutes, actually less. 2:40 left for Maxter. He's gonna have to start pulling out the rocket jumps, using that Ranger passive, using the Dire Orbs to close the gap. We've seen it before, but Base has always had the superior stack, able to limp away from the fights with 30 or less HP. Good rail to initiate here. But Base firing back after picking up the heavy. Still has the superior stack.
Another engagement where Max is trying to force the issue because he realizes time is slipping away and he has to do something. Managed to make a mess of it, but still at what cost? It's at a point now where he has to go in, and it's going to look reckless, and it's going to be the only choice, and Base is going to take those frags all day long.
Yep, and this is where it gets to the point where Max just has to start throwing things against the wall and seeing what sticks here. The LG is very strong, 88 HP. Base just milking time here. Very, very precise in that rail will plant Maxter again. Very patient, not forcing anything, making Maxter come into his view, having the right weaponry out. This is all Base right now.
And this map has been a masterclass in how to play defensive against someone that has incredible aim. You just don't give them opportunities to use it. You play slow and steady, you play the items, and if Base had a chance, he would delete, you know, that left side of the map right now. He would just stick to the undercarriages, he would stick to the safest route from item to item. And that's how he wants to play. He just wants to play a bit of Pac-Man, a bit of PvE.
Why not? As looks like Maxter seeing ghosts, unfortunately. Down 5, a minute left. And the overstack for Base is still alive and well. It's really, really well played here on map number 1 to come out swinging. Swinging sounds disingenuous because Base didn't necessarily come out swinging, but he was ready to fight back as Maxter pushed in. So again, just a masterclass of defensive play from Base.
And now we go into a situation where Maxter might not have found himself before. He's going into this particular event where people are looking at him as somebody that should be progressing in the tournament. Up until now, he's been the plucky underdog that was very skilled, but now people are looking at him saying, hey, you've got some amazing results under your belt, what are you going to do? And he's going in, you know, down a map against Base, potentially looking at a loser bracket spot. So this is more pressure and a new pressure. Let's see what he's made of.
Completely agree. And a rough start, but there are still 2 more maps at play here. So Base locks it in. Map number 1 heavily in his favor here. welcome back, everybody. 7-3 for base on that one on Ruins, and just a masterclass, as you said, of defensive play, utilizing that Galena to perfection. Maxter coming up a little bit short. Again, most of these plays, the Dire Orb's in to close the gap, the Rockets, the Rails, they're not really there. He's not landing them as proficiently as we've seen before, and it's costing him.
He wasn't landing them as proficient as before because there was no place to land them. If you're going to hit base, it's generally going to have to be a 6 shot.
You got to see him to hit him.
Exactly. And so base, that was an anti-Maxter game plan, and it worked with T. And this is exactly why we said earlier, not many players enjoy playing base, if anyone enjoys playing base. And that's a good thing for base. It means you're doing a job well.
Completely agree. Base just knows how to frustrate the opponent and force them to play the game that Base would like to play. And Base likes to play games where he wins and puts up a big one right here.
Yep.
Again, these are best of 3, so Base looking at a potential 2-0 here, as the next map is going to be Exile. We are going to get into that one shortly. Maxter's going to be rocking the DK. Base is going to be on the Anarchy, and we'll see if Base can do a little bit more of the same. I think it's going to be harder. Previously, I believe week 13, we saw Maxter just hit the most insane amount of rails I think we've ever seen on Quake Pro League.
Yes.
We'll see if he could do it again, but again, as you mentioned, Base doesn't give up those angles. He doesn't try and go toe-to-toe with you unless he's massively outstacking, very calculated. And yeah, it's uphill battle for Maxter here as we take a look at the scoreboard for map number 1, Ruins. Look at the damage from Maxter, but the overstack was just huge.
Yeah, exactly. But it was damage against a very well armored, well padded Galena with an overstack. The item difference again is just huge. Over three times as many items overall. So it is pretty insane for base. But as you rightly pointed out, Elder is not a map where you can do that, because to get from one item to another, you have to take.
Elder's not even a map, Dan. You're right. Exile.
What am I saying, Elder?
I don't, because you're getting a little elder. It's okay, Dan. It's okay. You're gonna be fine. Let's go.
I enjoyed that. But no, what map are we on? Exile.
Exile. Santa's Workshop. The abandoned Santa's Workshop, Dan. It's not that hard. I know it's been a long day.
It's been a long day.
I promise you we'll get through it together. Just hold my hand. We're going to make it.
It's been a long day. Oh, we haven't had a coffee in like 6 hours.
Nobody cares. Anyways, Exile, DK versus Anarchy. You were saying.
I was saying about the traversing the map. To get from one eye to another, you cannot play the game style Base has done. He's going to have to expose himself. He's going to have to engage his opponent. And so because of that reason and the actual exposure of the items, it is going to be a much more open game. And so this one will favor Maxter, as you pointed out.
Completely agree, as we're going to see what Maxter has. The Magic Man, can he pull it out right here and tie the set at 1? We are live on Exile right now. Do or die for Maxter, otherwise he will have a long lower bracket life ahead of him.
Well, I'm back in the game, and so is Maxter. Typical start to the game, trading items, going around to work out how to pick up the weapons in the safest route possible. Maxter already got his trusty rail, taking a cheeky shot just in case somebody was down there. And blowing up his opponent with a flame strike. He's got the shotgun in hand, but doesn't need it when he's got a rail. We know what he likes to use.
Ooh, does steal the heavy, but Base is right on him with that LG, knowing he has to close the gap. And you do not want to take the distance fight. Okay. Thought he was gonna get planted there. Good rail. Maxter already so weak.
Big rails coming out from Maxter. You can see already Base having to expose himself a lot more angles here. This is why the Anarchy comes in so much more useful. You have that inject as a natural restack. You also have the speed to make sure you are constantly one step ahead of your opponent. And that's what Base is counting on. He's counting on playing that mental game just to keep ahead of Maxter, to reposition faster, to get to those angles faster. And as whilst the DK is good with the burst damage, if Base doesn't want to engage close quarters, it's not going to be as effective as we see it on paper.
We'll see if he can keep it up, as he is laying an egg on the heavy. Maxter nowhere to be found. That's going to be free 99. Tied at 1 still. Inject 19 seconds away. The LG just absolutely almost pixel perfect on Maxter. Laying down the Elmers here. Good rail from Maxter as Base can back up onto the Mega. Needs to re-up on some LG if he wants to try and take another shaft fight. But Inject is back up. When in doubt, rail out here as Base traversing the map well. And starting to check more and more of the corners now, as you mentioned, Dan. Making sure the angles are not there, but huge play from Base. And again, using that inject immediately. He's going to see the Flame Strike come out. He's going to pop the inject and make sure that he's not taking that tick damage at all.
And once again, he's just going toe-to-toe in terms of damage. The rails from Base are just as good as those from maxter. And he's, at this point in time, also being able to keep the tempo a bit slower. You can see that rhythm starting to come in. He wants to drop from the Mega through the TP and go around the safest way possible. He doesn't want to go through this tricky mid ground unless he has to.
Inject again, gonna be back up here for Base. What a rail. Already used the inject though, and now he's stuck in a terrible position, and the rocket plants a beautiful shot from maxter there, making it look easy. Great damage off the spawn as well. And still, no inject. Could catch him out here with a big rocket. Nope, shotgun instead. Will do the deed. Tied at 3, Dan. Flame Strike in hand as well, and still no inject for Base, and that's going to be huge against that Flame Strike.
I think using that inject down by the rail was a bit... Oh no, what was...
Wow, Base just gets caught out. Caught slipping, didn't hear it, and that's going to cost him 2 big ones. Oh no, Maxter, is it happening? He's starting to steamroll. The engines are running, Dan. Base needs to be extremely careful here. There's the drop. LG almost pixel perfect, melting Base down, and the health bubble won't save him. And oh look, a heavy, but Maxter is very, very weak. Might get killed here, as we've seen before. Base just a little too slow on the aggression. Maxter still reeling after that fight.
And now he's getting into his groove, and this is the situation you don't want to be in as Base, chasing the game. That's when you have to expose yourself and take these risks, and that's when Maxter begins to thrive, when you're the one out in the open. The momentum is firmly with the Argentinian now, looking more like his old self. And every one of these frags puts Base under a little bit more pressure.
Indeed, here's great LG. There's the Flame Strike, doesn't land, and the Shotgun Blast won't come through to get the frag. So Base making something happen here as he gets that frag rather cleanly, all things considered. The inject's back up as well to give himself a little bit of a boost before this Mega. I don't think he's going to make... Yeah, he's not going to make an attempt to do damage here, unfortunately. Ooh, but the rail on the exit. Ooh, it was at 2. Not bad at all. He's heating up. Tripoli? Maybe he's going to take a trip to Tripoli.
He missed the heavy. Maxter at this point, who's got only a rocket to work with, does have the Flame Strike up though. We know the burst potential. That's why he's sitting in these corridors. If Base goes through it, it's going to be maximum impact.
Oh, big damage with the rocket. Oh, but what? Base! Wow, what a rail from Base! Maxter starting to feel the hurt now, as he's only up by 1. That lead has vanished, Dan.
Yeah, it's looking a bit troublesome. Doesn't feel that Maxter knows how he's going to get back into this game. Hasn't seen an item now for a couple of minutes. And doesn't even look like he's showing Base there. Caught out once again by Base, who just drops on top. Got the spawn on lockdown too. Hitting that rail off the back of it will secure this next heavy as well. Maxter just with the nail gun there, trying to do anything, but not really doing anywhere near enough. The inject's still up. Base has got a perfect rotation going on now. 10 seconds between the two. Gives him plenty of time to do some damage and get on top of it. I don't even think Maxter had proper timing.
Oh wow, and again the inject coming through right when he needs it. He's just saving it for that Flame Strike. Pretty much making DK useless, as the Flame Strike won't do anything. The initial damage needs to be the key there for Maxter, but he's not getting close enough to converge those fireballs and get that max damage there. So 2 frag lead for Base, 6:30 in, looking very strong, and we need to see a swing for Maxter, as we saw before around the early start of the game where he had 5 frag run, I believe. Need a little more of that if you're a Maxter fan, as Base looking to take this in 2.
100%, but once again, now Base has got the map on lockdown. You can see how just straightforward ABC he's playing. Nice and safe. He understands exactly where his opponent is at all times and where he can be going, where it's safe, where the angles are. And this is exactly why we're just not seeing those amazing highlight frags and back-to-back rails that we so traditionally associate with Maxter.
Eating a rail out of the telly exit here. Base has such a big stack. Swap to Tribal, get some damage, but uses the inject early, and this is an opportunity for maxter. Oh, he doesn't even need the flame strike. What a fantastic rocket.
And it's probably been much the only opportunity he's had, and he does manage to take it. Whoa, wow. That's some damage. Ties it up, and this match is going back and forth like a pendulum. He's found base, wants to get up this morning and try and do as much damage as he can. Doesn't even use the flame strike though. That is huge.
Really, really good patience there. Base just trying to get the hell out of there, eats a rail, and he's like, please stop. Maxter smells blood, he's setting up the shot, just missing out.
But what awareness by Base. He didn't actually jump down, and Maxter's risk costs him the mega. Yes, he got the frag, but he cost him so much effective HP. Base should be able to push in here before Max Heavy. But he decides not to.
Oh, big rocket as well, and oh no! Just a little bit mistimed, unfortunately, for Base, and Maxter's able to capitalize on a big rail off the spawn. Maxter fighting back now. Up 3, the LG isn't going to be enough. The swap to rail isn't going to connect. Needs to be very careful here. Is Base going to push this? He's going to go through the opposite telly here, grabbing that armor shard. Now he goes through the main telly and just lights him up.
This is more than possible, 40. Base coming in strong, but the shotgun's there and denied, but no! The flick rail, the Russians got them too.
And these rockets too. He's hitting dunks into rails. Base is crazy.
He's caught him again. The flame strike's there, but it's not enough. They're both though. Nothing's up for Base. He catches him just before the hell.
Incredible. And another rail. Is he gonna hit another one, Dan?
He's got the angle held, and Maxter has to go through. He's got no choice.
Through the uprights, Dan. 14 to 12. Maxter only has 50 seconds for his upper bracket life here. LG on LG, but the stack is just gigantic from Base, and the shotgun to the face. Wow. Another rail as well, and this is just an evolution of Base. I'm not even sure. He's always been a monster, but this is something else. As he's handling Maxter in a way we haven't seen before.
He has come into this game just absolutely understanding what he has to do to shut down the effectiveness of Maxter. And yes, Maxter pushed him to the wire on this map, but you can see how controlled it was and how restrained it was. It's almost like he put Maxter in a box and didn't let him out. And the greatness never shone through today for Maxter. And he'll go away frustrated, but this is why. No one wants to play against Base.
15 to 11. All she wrote. Base takes it in 2 over the Magic Man himself. And we're stunned. I feel like most of Twitch chat is stunned, as we expected 3. And Base said, I got stuff to do. It's getting late. I'm going to take this one in 2. Thanks a lot.
And he fully deserves it. What do you think, Wheat?
Well, this is exactly what we were talking about, where it's like the base that everyone kind of memes on in chat and is like, yeah, like plus back all the time, or that this shows, right, that Base has a dynamic, another layer to him that he's been developing over the last couple stages, and I think we saw it there, especially in that second map. You know, it's quite impressive to see, because I feel like the range of Base is certainly far beyond the kind of meme picture that is oftentimes. And look, he deserves that title, right? But I hope to see the meta change a little bit and people go, damn, all right, like Base is surprising me with ability to adapt, change, and kind of meme picture that is oftentimes. And look, he deserves that title, right? But I hope to see the meta change a little bit and people go, damn, all right, like Base is surprising me with his ability to adapt, change, and you know, put out a strategy and you know, that you wouldn't expect to see. So I'm really impressed with Base, and we have been over the stage 3, but I think now's really the time for someone like Base to prove themselves in a way that maybe they haven't been able to before.
Yeah, no, 100%. He even out-damaged Maxter on Maxter's map out in the open with the lighter champion. He had to take the game to him. and he's always had this ability. It's never been as consistent. He's never been able to go as macho as he is, and so it puts him in really scary territory as an opponent to come up against him. I'm sure everyone is looking at the bracket and working out if and when they're going to meet him, because that's somebody you don't want to come up against.
I mean, either way, it would have been an insane kind of thing to see Base or Maxter drop to the lower bracket first day, but Base was like, not me. So now Maxter has the longest tournament life ahead of him through the lower bracket as the killers are going to filter down there. But hats off to Base, as you mentioned, Wheat and Dan, like this new dimension of Base is going to terrify everybody in this league right now, because they're like, great, like now we have to deal with an aggressive Base that can not only get the lead forcefully, he can fall back into his defensive style, and just there's not a lot that people can do against him.
And imagine a world where you don't know which one you're going to get.
Yeah.
Right. It's like, if Base is going to play plus back, great. I have a way that I can shift it. If he is able to weave in and out of that kind of, I don't know. I'd imagine, and we've heard people say, hey, Base is kind of a frustrating guy to play. Well, guess what? Double down on that, because that was frustrating in some ways to watch, in a great way, in a great and entertaining way.
He just evolved from a normal turtle to a super ninja turtle. Like his capability to go into his own shell or to bust it out and just go ham.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was thinking, ZSX. I'm glad we're on the same page here.
It's getting late, guys.
You're right. It is getting late. In fact, we have just one game remaining here for the main stream before we take a shutdown for the night and then resume tomorrow, day 2 here at QuakeCon. So let's take a quick break. But when we come back, it is the guy who is chasing his 4th title here to potentially become, as 40 Lions has coined it, the Quad Father. It is Rafa versus Garpy coming up next. Don't go away. We're going to be right back.